coming out with a podcast that highlights different aspects of the news and the stories that we're already covering. And it's a new position. I'm learning, I'm growing, but it's a, if y'all have any questions about adapting to school and work life, y'all can always reach out, and on your way out, y'all can grab my socials. And we'll definitely be able to be a good contact if you guys are heading towards USM in the near future.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things I want you guys to take away from is that when it comes to working with us at the center, you don't necessarily have to be planning to go to USM. We work with students from across the state. In fact, this summer we had a student who was interning with us who went to Alcorn State University. Walker and Sammy were both students at their community colleges respectively before they came to USM and started working with us. We have students who have different majors. So we have students who are computer science majors. We have students who are interested obviously in communications, but maybe not in being on TV in journalism. If you are interested in writing, if you are interested in communicating and presenting to people, if you're interested in how the media works, mis and disinformation, like, hey, that's not true, and I wonder why people are sharing things that aren't true with, thousands of people on social media. How are you interested in anything that we do? Again, ask any of our students. Whitney, who is in the back, who is manning the camera back there, she is our managing editor. She is the one who oversees the content at our center. So ask us any questions. We'll have our cards back there. But I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Simpson. And again, thank you guys for coming. Thank you for having us, and hope to talk to you soon.
All right, thank you guys. Yeah, what a great group. So I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on here, but I really want to hear about a little bit from you all. So we're high school, Poplarville High School, and we sophomores? Anybody a sophomore? Junior? A couple, mostly junior, all junior. Are we senior? Senior, okay. There you go, okay. I love juniors. Here's the reason why I love juniors. So you're right in the midst of it, right? You're right in the midst of it. Have you thought about what you're going to do for the rest of your life? What are you going to do?
I'm going to be a graphic designer.
Ooh, love that. Okay, so you're at the right place. Anybody thinking about media yet? Okay, I love that. That's great. So here's the thing. Whether you want to go into the media or not, the media surrounds you. Why would I say that? Some old bald guy comes in and says, hey, you're swimming in media. Why would I say that? What's going on? What's going on in your life? How do you spend your time? What? What'd you say? Internet, okay. It's not just the internet, it's a very specific kind of internet. What is it? Social media, no question about it. The numbers are absolutely clear. Your demographic spends at least 8 hours a day on social media of some sort. Does that ring true? You're nodding. 8 hours. Think about this for a minute. You're sleeping 8 hours, maybe. You're in school for 6 hours, maybe. And then the rest of the time you're on social media. Where does that social media come from? That stuff that you see on TikTok. That stuff that you is it? Oh, by the way, is it TikTok? Or what? Instagram? Really, Instagram? Okay, Instagram. What else? Facebook. Are you still on Facebook? Are you friends with your grandma? Are you really? How's grandma doing? No, there you go. Grandma's doing all right. Okay. So where does this information come from? Other people. What kind of other people? All kinds. How do you know that what you see on social media is true? Interesting. What does that do to the world if 9 out of 10, now I don't know what the actual numbers are, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the theory here is, if you're thinking 9 out of 10 could not be true, you don't know whether it is or not, there's a doubt, right? So what does that do to the world we live in? If you're spending 8 hours a day in a medium where you don't really know if it's true or not, what does that do to our world? What does it do to your world? Ooh, interesting. Changes your views. You agree with that? Yeah? You don't want to talk? You don't have to talk. You want to talk a little bit? There you go. So changes it from what to what? You think? What do you mean change? Yeah. It influences how you see the world, right? So I want to talk to you about that tonight. And I'm going to ask you to really think deeply about this idea of we live in a world where if we're awake, we're consuming media, but yet we're living in a time where we're not quite sure, sometimes not as high as 9 out of 10 times, we're not sure what we're seeing is actually true. I'm going to ask you to think about that tonight. I'm also going to give you some ideas on how to find out what's true and what isn't true. Okay, right? Because what do we do with information? What's the number one purpose for at least news? Let's keep it in the idea of news, media, things that you hear every day. What's the number one reason for that information to be there? Why do you want to know what's going on? Because what do we have to do? As human beings, what do we have to do every day? I'm asking you to read my mind. My students say this a lot. Ed, you're asking me to read your mind. So you take this information in, and what do you do with it? What's your name? JS? Did I get that right? Because I'm old. JS. Okay, so JS. I send you an email about tomorrow it's going to storm and rain, and it's going to be really cold. Does that affect your life? Or you might do something else, right? So the idea behind this information coming at you is you have to make decisions about your daily life in all different kinds of contexts, right? So something as simple as a weather report may affect whether you go over here or whether you stay inside and do this. But then you take it to the extreme of where somebody is saying, hey, we're going to war, but we're really not. How does that make you see your society? How does that make you see your country? How does that make you see what your future is, right? All of that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk about all that, why it's important, why it matters. So what is, we heard a little bit about it. So the Community Journalism Center, super happy, super proud of this, right? Is that this was started at USM last fall.
Actually launched in January.
In January, technically in January. So it's a $3 million grant from the Scripps Howard Foundation. And so what we do is cover Southeast Mississippi, including your county, including Poplarville. And there's an opportunity for you all, because I know everybody in here has some connection to your media in high school, right? Including an opportunity for you all to jump in there at some point if you'd like to do that, especially as juniors. So I love talking to juniors. This is what we do. It's what we do. You already heard about that. There's some of our, hey, there's Sammy. There you are. You're famous. You're in the show. There you go. Okay, there we go. So what we do here is we talk about this whole concept of what is true. So that's what the program is called, is what is true, and the idea is to figure out how to tell what is true, what isn't true. What's going on right now in the world that's huge? I suspect you're talking about it almost every day in your high school. What? AI, which is what? Artificial intelligence. What do we think about it? You're shaking your head no? You're speaking volumes with your face. I love that.
So in some cases it could help, but it also leads to more misinformation and more things getting spread around that shouldn't be.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Are we using AI? Ooh, we have an honest gentleman over here. And how are you using it? Okay, how? ChatGPT? And you do what? Do you feed it the assignment and say, give me whatever? Okay, yeah. Is that basically how we're using it? Some of us are nodding, others. Okay, there you go. Right. So there's some really interesting things going on right now. There's of course we don't know yet. AI's been around, or the AI as we've been talking about it recently has been around since 23. ChatGPT went public late 23. There's some ongoing information that about almost half of the images that you see on social media are probably AI generated, right? Can anybody think of an AI post that they went, oh yeah, I thought it was real. Oh, then you figured out it was AI? A few times. Can you think of an example?
I know there's one on Facebook. Facebook is really bad.
Facebook is super bad about it. Yeah.
I saw one on Facebook that was pictures of animals.
Yep.
And some of them were AI. And some of them
Animals are huge.
were
Yep.
next to each other.
Yep. All of that kind of stuff, right? So I want to talk about that a little bit. It's super important because right now what's going on is this whole idea of real versus unreal, right? And think again, I'm going to refer you back to this idea that you're spending hours and hours and hours on social media. And it's not just you, it's all of us spending hours and hours and hours on. And if social media continues this trend of unreal, does that mean the world that we're in is unreal? And how do we tell what is true and what isn't true? So if you go to the New York Times in the last 18 months or so has written well over 100 articles on AI. A lot of really good thinkers have started asking questions about what artificial intelligence really means. Now, most of you will be going on to college, but I suspect you've already had these discussions with your high school teachers, right? So what are your high school teachers allowing you to do, not do with AI? Or do they even, are you talking about it yet? Oh, what, you're talking, oh my God, yes. You can't get into ChatGPT at school, but of course they can't block you at home, right? You go, heck no, they're not blocking me at home. So is there a policy say don't use it? Nobody wants to. There might be. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
There is no rule against it, but they just have a law.
Okay, gotcha. But you can go home and use it, or not? Last year. Okay, interesting. Okay, well I'm feeling a story here. It really is interesting. So this is this idea of what does AI mean for learning? Big discussion about that. Big discussion about that. Deep fakes. AI is becoming very, very good at deep fakes. Can anybody think of one that crossed your feed? This is kind of a famous one. AOC, well-known congressperson. There was a deep fake video that went around. The solution, by the way, they were talking about is we need more critical thinking. So if we had more critical thinking, well then these deep fakes would not affect us so much. What do we think about critical thinking? Yeah, that's what I think most of it. There you go. AI generated realness in the Chicago Sun-Times actually got printed. Just made up. This is a new thing. Professors using ChatGPT, your instructors likely at your high school, some of them using AI, but then saying, okay, you're not supposed to use AI, right? Are you seeing that in your classrooms? Is anybody using AI? No? You can't tell. It's hard to tell.
In any of mine, I would say no. Because a lot of my teachers are more
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay, interesting perspective. Okay, well, there you go. This is a really interesting new study. This came out about 6 months ago. So what they did, the researchers took 3 groups, basically folks like you, and said, okay, this group used ChatGPT to write this college entrance essay. This group here, you can use like Grammarly, a couple of other lighter programs. Over here, you can't use anything. And what they found is that after a period of time, and then they said do it again, what they found was that the folks using ChatGPT, actually, their brains showed less engagement than either of the other groups. So the idea is that you actually get stupider using AI. Does that make sense? It kind of does, really, when you think about it. It's kind of common sense, right? So if you have machines doing your thinking for you, it makes sense that you're going to think less overall, right? And this is, again, New York Times opinion piece. Are we really willing to become dumber? Right? So AI is super important in this idea of figuring out what is true and what isn't true. I'm going to ask you to think about these things. These 3 questions are super important. Can I trust what I see? Should I act on it? What do you think we mean by act?
Do something with that information or revolve in line.
So give me an example.
Say someone sees an article that is like heavily against anything to do with a certain political thing, and they act on what they see.
Oh, sure. It could be that, right? That direct is I am going to change how I vote, or I'm going to vote a certain way, right? But in this context, really what we mean by act on false information is sharing it, primarily, liking it, engaging with it in a way that spreads it. So I want us to think about that. So should I share it? So here's the idea. We're going to talk about a few examples tonight. The goal is not to be political. This idea of misinformation and disinformation is not a political discussion. It is a civics discussion. It is a how do we survive as a democracy discussion, right? And we'll talk about that if you like. So what is media literacy? It's the idea of being able to critically assess the information that reaches you. So let's pause there for a second. We talked about social media. Are there other ways that information reaches you? Sure. Right? I'm sorry, say it again.
Just by hearing it from someone else.
Yeah, sure, hearsay. Right, yeah, absolutely. You hear it from, in fact, your demographic, other than social media, the number one way you guys tend to get information is from each other. So how do you do that? Through texting, right? How else? Say it again. Calling. Yeah. How else do you get information? So from each other, variety of different ways. What other information reaches you?
The news.
How? Does anybody watch TV? No? We're not watching TV anymore? Reading the paper? Anybody reading the newspaper? Yikes. Internet websites? You go on internet websites? Okay. All different ways information reaches you, and I will agree social media is number one, right? So the idea is to critically assess this stuff, right? So misinformation is the idea of false or misleading information shared by someone who believes it's true. In other words, the information is well-intentioned, but it just simply isn't true. Disinformation is information that is put out there to actively deceive. Okay, has anybody been seen something that you knew to be false information, disinformation? Yeah, what'd you see?
I don't know if it's appropriate.
Oh, that's okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. What you got?
President Trump, he disappeared from the media for a little bit.
Yep.
So everyone was like sharing who was dead. They were like happy about it.
Yeah. So did you guys did this enter your feeds? That did what yours? Okay. Yeah. You know, it didn't mine. So I'm wondering. Well, I follow about 60 news outlets. So I think, but the news outlets weren't reporting it. So what we're talking about here is that President Trump, did not make any public appearances, although he was on Truth Social the whole weekend. But he didn't make any public appearances for 3 days. So social media went nuts with this conspiracy theory that, well, Trump must be dead, right? So it went crazy. So then that on Monday or Tuesday, whenever it was, he actually let reporters into his office in the Oval Office, and they spent 15-20 minutes discussing whether he was dead or not, right? Just a weird world that we're living in right now. So that's disinformation. Clearly false, right? Misinformation is a little harder to detect, right? So have you heard the phrase fake news? You guys are a tough crowd. Have you heard fake news?
Yeah.
Okay, so where does fake news come from? Where do you hear that mainly?
Social media.
What?
Social media.
Social media, but in what context?
Political.
Totally agree that it's almost solely political. And how is it used? What's it mean? What? I can't hear. I'm old. Speak up. Yeah, exactly right. So this is the idea that I disagree with that. So that's fake news. All right. So we talk about that a little bit. Misinformation. Have you guys been following the vaccine story? Kind of. No? Okay. Okay. So this is, well, that's it's very complicated. Go look it up. Go look up the vaccine story. But the idea here is that vaccines are a hot topic in the news right now because of who the Health and Human Services Secretary is, who he has dismissed the advisory board that comes up with vaccine recommendations, right? So now the theory is that they're going to come out with a whole bunch of recommendations that will change the way we give vaccines, which is a very big public health debate, right? So there's all kinds of information out there about vaccines. And what is the debate? Or what is the thing that you hear a lot? Anything? No? So vaccines aren't reaching you? Okay. That's okay. Okay. The idea is effectively and responsibly figuring out what to share, what not to share in social media, right? Super important idea. Talk about democracy a little bit here. Talk about that. Has anybody seen this? Yeah? So what'd you think? Yeah, so this all began with a is this not Facebook? What is this? What? Is that Facebook? It is Facebook. So it all began with a Facebook post from a neighbor saying something. But it was actually reported third, fourth, fifth hand, right? This is something that the person who's posting didn't even observe. It was second, third hand. So when someone says information is second or third hand, what does that mean? What?
They did not witness it.
They did not witness it. They did not get the information themselves. They were told this. Very key flag. Whenever you see that anywhere, this key flag is my neighbor informed me. Right? Very, very important flag of, well, we should take this information with a grain of salt. Right? Yep. Everybody heard of Pizzagate? Really? You guys have heard of Pizza, but not vaccines? Really? Pizzagate? Okay, so this is one of these deep conspiracy theories, very weird, that there was actually a pedophilia ring running out of a pizza shop in Washington, D.C. This guy actually jumps in a car, drives all the way to D.C., intending to shoot up the pedophilia ring. Right? Simply just not true. So this is the idea that false information can and does have real-world consequences. So why do we care? Why are we spending effort to figure this stuff out? Is because it has real-world consequences, right? Yeah, so this is the idea that if we spend most of our time on social media and we get the vast majority of our information from social media, we need to understand how social media works. What's an algorithm? What? What?
The way the
Kind of.
It's the way the site gives information and what you like to view.
Yes, right. So it's actually math. It's a mathematical formula that says if you like cats, they're going to show you more and more cats, to the exclusion of dogs. So the idea is that you could live your whole life, because we're spending hours on social media, and it's feeding you only what it thinks you want to see. So theoretically, you could spend your entire life and never know that there are dogs, because the algorithm is feeding you cats. You with me on this? You're looking puzzled. You're not buying it?
I just think it's amazing. How could you live without dogs?
How could you live without dogs? We need dogs, right? We all need dogs. Actually, I'm a cat guy. I got 2 cats. I don't have a dog. But yeah, right? So this is the idea that social media is not there to inform you. Social media is there for the sole purpose of engaging you. Who makes the money? So think about this as a business model, right? Think about this as, and you can go look it up if you want and do the math. I actually have my students do this. You go to Facebook's annual report and do the math on their annual profits and how many users they have. It's pretty simple. It's arithmetic. Each user is worth about now somewhere around $80 a year. Each user to Facebook. How much of that do you get? 0, right? So think about this for a minute. Zuckerberg starts a company, goes into a bank and says, hey, I'm going to get 1.6 billion people to work free for me. Do you think the bank would have given him any money? Probably not, right? But that's the world we're in. It's really interesting, right? So who gets the money? Musk, Bezos, those guys, right? So this is the world we're living in. Really interesting. The algorithms are meant to engage, not to inform. Really important concept. What they feed into is this very human inclination toward confirmation bias. Have you guys heard this before? What's confirmation bias? So this is the idea that we tend to consume information that confirms what we already believe. So if we believe the world is flat, and we start clicking on stories that say the world is flat, and there are, by the way, there is a whole group of folks out there that think the world is flat, then we don't really see stories anymore that talk about the world being round. You put this in a political realm, is if you start clicking on Democrats, it's going to show you more and more and more Democrats to the exclusion of Republicans, and vice versa. This is the idea of confirmation bias, right? We tend to consume information and we tend to believe information that confirms what we already think we know. Does that ring true? Yeah? False claims are 70% more likely to be retweeted than ones that are true. Why might that be? What did we just talk about? This idea of... Well, they could be more emotional. They could be more emotional. They also likely play into what we already believe. Right? So we we see something that goes, ooh, oh man, I knew it. And you share it even though it's false. Right? That's the idea. We're not cahooting, I don't believe. Yeah, that's it. Yep. All right. So there are some things that we've heard for a few years. You probably studied some of this in junior high, I would imagine. At least I hope some of you did. Clickbait. What's clickbait?
Some people persuade you to click on review something.
Yep. Right. So here are the top 10 reasons why people don't go to the prom. You won't believe number 6. That's all you get, right? You have to click on it in order to see what number 6 is. And then usually it's pretty lame, right? Have you guys ever clicked on any of these things? Okay. So that's clickbait, right? Often they will push an agenda, often a political agenda. Are you guys seeing that on your feeds? Are you guys getting politics on your feed?
Every now and then.
No? Yes, no, yes, no, yes. What kind of politics? Trump's doing what?
About Trump's disappearance.
Oh, really? So that one came across hard? Okay. Okay. Yeah, that one. I can't believe it didn't come up on my feed. It did not. I got to go follow crazier people, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. The politics are really interesting. And we can talk about that if you like. But we're living in a time right now where the politics are intense and the division is intense. Is anybody following any of the issues that's making it so intense? What's going on in Washington, D.C. right now? Troops? If I said troops? Here you go. Okay, here you go. So here's an example. So Donald Trump has federalized the National Guard in Washington, D.C., and five states have sent National Guard members to D.C. to patrol the streets. Is Mississippi one of them? You don't know? Yes, Mississippi is one of them. We sent 200 National Guard up to Washington, D.C. Now, what my media has not told me that I would like to know is who's paying for it. That's another story. Who's paying for this? I don't know. I'd like to know. Is Mississippi taxpayers paying to send these National Guard folks up to D.C.? I do not know. But this is the idea of political division, right? Now, division is not the same as debate. It's totally okay. In fact, democracy demands that we debate issues. What the problem is if there is false information out there separating us on emotional issues, right? That's the idea. Okay. Bots and troll farms. What's a bot? What's a bot? And what do they do?
They usually farm some kind of engagement every video, like you or maybe that, or just automatically respond to their calls.
Yeah, it's a piece of software, right? That does exactly that, designed to keep you engaged in a variety of different ways. And a troll farm, of course, is software and humans doing the same exact thing, right? What's an influencer? Does anybody want to be an influencer, by the way? You don't count. You're not. Do you really? You want to be an influencer?
Yes.
Really? Okay. What in what area? What genre do you want to influence?
I just want to be a content. Like, I want to be a TV host, but content creation will help that.
Yeah.
Lifestyle.
Yeah. Lifestyle.
Yes.
Okay. Like you want to be Oprah.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Sweet. Does anybody else want to be an influencer? Yeah? What are you influencing? What's your genre? Really? So have you started anything yet? YouTube? Are you critiquing? Oh, cool. Cool. And how are we feeling about Tay-Tay? Nicole is the only one who knows who Tay-Tay is. How are we feeling about Taylor Swift? Oh no!
I'm leaving.
Wow. Okay. Oh, that's old school. That is old school. Okay. What about Sabrina? Anybody watch nobody watched the VMAs? She's okay. Wow. You guys are tough, man. Okay. Do we care that Taylor is marrying Travis? Do we know that Taylor? We do know. How do we know? Did that come across your feed? It's all over the place. Did you talk about it in school? Did you? Who told you not to talk about it? Oh. You can talk about any event except this. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. Wow, you guys are hard, man. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so understanding the why, let's talk about this. There's a common language. There are flags. Flags that will help you identify these things. Does the headline want you to feel something in an urgent or strong way? This is a real post? No, we made up this post? Okay. Okay. We'll talk about that. But I do know the center did a story on animal shelters. All right. So what is this post designed to make you feel? We do have at least one dog person in here. Very sad, right? It's designed to make us feel sad, likely for the purpose of what? Adopting or giving money, right? Yep. Does the headline exaggerate what's actually reported? Right? Probably does. I don't know why this is in here. Why is this in here?
So essentially, NPR was trying to encourage people to go beyond the headline. Because a lot of people will just read the headline and then they'll get on social media and act like they really know what they're talking about. You guys have seen that before. It's like, did you actually read the article though? Well, so NPR did I guess an experiment on April Fool's Day. And they put a headline that says, why doesn't America read anymore? And if you actually read the article, it'll basically say, we just wanted to see if people would actually read this article. So, thank you for actually reading it. And there were still people who went onto their comments and were like, well, I don't understand why they're saying America doesn't read anymore. My kids do this and that and the other stuff. So there were still people who didn't actually read the article.
Yep. Yeah, and tell you what's really going on right now, which is really super scary, is the number of visitors to news websites is dropping dramatically. Because if you Google something, what's the first thing that pops up? An AI summary, right? An AI summary. So folks who didn't like to read anyway now have to read even less. I will tell you one thing, for me, I do not trust those summaries. I will say they're getting better than their first couple of months. They are better. But it's an interesting time that we're living in, right? So it's really important to understand this. Is the story told in black and white? Or in other words, is somebody clearly a villain, somebody clearly a hero? We're just making this stuff up?
Not everything. It's just another example of a blatant example of
Yeah.
that, where you
Yeah.
have, if you notice the words they're using, like heartless landlord, trying to evict an elderly widow, greedy landlord, so just some of those words that are emotionally driven to really get the point off.
Yeah, yeah. So you'll see this often a lot. Again, whether I should have looked harder. But this idea of the image that you see doesn't sometimes, in fact, does not often match the actual words that you read, right? So the image is designed to hook you in, more clickbaity kind of stuff. Does the story seem to make sense? Really important idea, right? Does the story seem to make sense? Obviously, that does not make sense, right? Yeah, I have thoughts. I have thoughts. So, good journalism is designed to inform, not inflame, right? The idea is not to make you angry, but the idea is to inform, right? I would argue good journalism actually brings you comfort. In a time of chaos or a time of confusion, good journalism helps you understand what's going on. That makes you feel better, not worse, right? Sensationalism is a warning sign. As we talked about this a little bit, right? Who creates all those posts that you see? Other people, right? There are no journalists, there are no, in fact, very few content creators working anywhere at these places. It's other folks. So knowing who's creating what it is that you're looking at is super important. So before sharing, so I asked you in the beginning to think about a couple of things. One is to think about stuff before you act or before you share, before you engage, right? So ask these questions. Who made this? What this post that I'm looking at, where did it come from originally? Who made this, right? Are they trying to make me feel a certain way? Or are they trying to make me think a certain way? Can I confirm this information somewhere else? That's a really important point, right? So what's your name? What's your name? Lynn? Lee. Sorry, I'm old. When you saw Trump stuff come up on your feed, did you go somewhere else to see if they were reporting it? Where'd you go? Do you remember?
I went to
Okay. Did you determine that it wasn't true, or what? Did you by any chance go to New York Times or even whitehouse.gov or anything? Yeah, interesting. Yeah, right? So if it were true that Trump were even missing, let alone dead, it would be the top story on the New York Times website, right? So can I confirm this somewhere else? And if you can't, if all you're seeing is similar posts, then there's a reason to question it. Is the information complete or out of context? Have I processed my own biases, right? Or am I merely confirming what I already think I know? Really important. The idea is, if you're not absolutely sure, don't share it. Don't be part of the problem, right? That's the idea. So one, an important concept here is shape your feed. So here's what I mean by shape your feed. The idea is that if it's going to feed you more of what you think you already like, then you need to like a bunch of different things. So like me, I follow about 60 different outlets, and I will say a lot of them stem back from my dissertation 15 years ago, 17 years ago. But I keep adding them everywhere I go. I had probably 10 or 12. So now I'm up to around 60 news sites. I'm not saying anybody needs to do that, but if you're not following the Roy Howard Community Journalism Center, or you're not following Mississippi Today, you're probably not getting a good sense of what's happening in Mississippi. If you're not following New York Times, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, you're probably not getting a good sense of what's going on in the country. Right? So that's, I'm going to challenge you to think about that. Shape your feed so it shows you different things. Be aware of visuals and how misleading they can be. This is a famous case. We use this actually in teaching journalism ethics. Let's see. Sammy, have you seen this before, this case? Okay, so this is very famous news cover of O.J. Simpson, obviously. What's wrong with the Time image? I'm sorry? Two different what? Oh, definitely two different messages, I agree. Yeah, actually, the words are have a very different meaning, I agree. Think image. Yep. Yep, so this is the idea, is that Time, and actually they acknowledge this and apologize later. Time actually photoshopped O.J. darker to make it seem more menacing. Right? Video clips. Video is no longer the gold standard of evidence. Video can be easily manipulated with AI, so we have to be very cautious of that. Talk about that. Okay, so this is a tool that you can use. Does anybody have their phone with them? See what happens when you put that QR code in there. Did it work? It's trying. Oh, okay. Well, don't download it unless you want to. So the idea is that there are a variety of different places that will rank news websites based on bias, left or right, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, that kind of stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean one's better than the other. It just means you should know. If a website leans one way, then you should know that. For instance, MSNBC. Have you guys seen that at all? Cable news outlet. Would you say it leans one way? You don't watch it enough? Yeah. Yeah, most folks would say MSNBC definitely leans left. Fox clearly does what then? Leans right, right? So that's the idea of knowing what you're looking at. Snopes.com is a really good website. If you see, now that's mainly for national stuff, but there's a lot of things that come up. I suspect that there is a Snopes story on Trump's death. Maybe, haven't looked. PolitiFact's pretty good. Factcheck.org is pretty good. And obviously check out our page on the Community Journalism Center website. Okay, there you go. So, we've been here about an hour. I know you guys, I can look in your eyes, but I tell you, you've been great. So let me ask you this. What do you think about this whole idea of media literacy and trying to understand what's true and what isn't?
Well, I find it hard to work around at times because I write a lot of things. I find it hard to work around because you have to find what's actually fact rather than someone making something up or something.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave you with this thought. I believe that this idea of what is true and what isn't true is the single most important existential question of our time. When you think about this idea of how do you tell what is fact and what decisions about anything if you are constantly questioning what is true and what isn't? But here's the good news. Despite everything that you hear, despite all of the heat out there, and I'm actually in many ways glad that you guys haven't become part of that yet. You will at some point. But the reality is, science and facts and knowledge rule the worlds that we live in. How many drove here tonight? Almost everybody, right? Did it ever occur to you to question whether that car is going to get you home safely? Really? Really? Okay, your car's pretty sketch. Okay, that might be a bad example. But yeah. How about this building? Did it ever occur to anybody for a moment that this building was going to collapse on us?
It's an old building. It's always there.
Okay, there you go. So here's my point. Everything around you, the food you eat, the air you breathe, the water you drink, the transportation you take, the buildings that you're in, all come from a set of rules and knowledge and science and guidance that have developed over hundreds and hundreds of years, right? That has brought us to where we are today. There is no need to question all of this, right? There is a need to question the direction of your society. There is a need to question, what do you want your country to look like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, right? And that begins with understanding facts. So when you see and hear of folks attacking the idea of facts, I think it's okay to push back. And it's okay to say there are ways to determine what is true, what isn't true. All right, you guys are amazing. That's all I got for you. Any questions? What questions do you have? All right, thanks guys. I really appreciate it. I know it's late on it's a Monday. It's a Monday. So you guys are amazing. I'm going to write your teacher a note and say thank you for getting you all here. And please stay in touch with me, by the way. It's edgar.simpson@usm.edu. Mrs. Baxter does know we've been in communication. Those of you that are interested, we will be offering the community journalism course again in the spring. So I think there's one of you. He's not here. There you go. There you go. Well, there you go. You should be working at the Community Journalism Center. You wouldn't have to work at McDonald's. See the gentleman that was at the boot camp this summer? I think he was at the boot camp. I don't know. Anyway, the community journalism course will be available for you in the spring. You can talk to Ms. Baxter about that. But it's great to see you. Hang in there. All right?
If you guys have not done so already, make sure that you have your name and your email address on there. We'll send you a certificate just to say that you've been through the course. So you can say that you're being alert. And that's also a way to prove your teacher. So if you have it, make sure you sign up for that. Thank you guys.
Thank you all.